Hello and welcome to Powerhouse, where we sit down with the biggest names and the brightest minds in the industry. My name is Zeb Lowe, and I'm the Senior Director of the Content Studio here at HousingWire, filling in for Diego Sanchez. Our guest today is Dustin Owen. Dustin joined the mortgage industry in 2004. Within 2 years, he was funding 100 plus units per year in personal production. He then leveraged his success as an originator into a career as a mortgage sales executive. He was able to grow his production from one branch funding $40 million a year to 7 branches funding $70 million per month. And if that's not impressive enough, he's the creator and host of the Loan Officer podcast, many of you know as TLOP. With over 1 million downloads per year, it's the #1 podcast for mortgage originators and their clients. This led Dustin to launch TLOP's Originator Coaching, a business coaching and sales training platform. Dustin, thank you for joining me.
Zeb, I'm super excited to be here, and you're doing a great job of filling in for Diego.
Thank you. Well, I'm trying. I'm also recovering. It was been a pretty busy and long early week for us. This is my first day back from the AI summit.
Yeah, my FOMO is at like level 9 right now because unfortunately, due to travel conflicts, I couldn't be out in Texas with you guys. But I heard from others it was an amazing event, and I've read the amazing write-ups you've done in HousingWire about some of the keynote speakers and the interviews. And yeah, I'm sorry I missed it.
You know, for me, it's kind of interesting to get to see so much of the behind-the-scenes conversations and the insights that a lot of the executives are able to share with one another. You know, most of it makes it to the stage, obviously, but just being in that environment is a really special feeling, because you know that what's happening in those discussions, and in many ways are leading the change, or the future of the industry.
Yeah, no, they definitely are. I mean, I look at AI, and I don't care if you're my 17-year-old daughter, you're my 20-year-old son, or you're a 40-year mortgage veteran. I'm literally telling everyone the same thing. It freaks me the F out. It excites me beyond belief, and I'm not going to let this get ahead of me. Meaning, like, I feel like I missed out on YouTube. Like, sure, I have a YouTube channel. It has 25,000 subscribers. I'm proud of that. But what if I started my YouTube channel 10 years before I did? I missed out on Amazon. I missed out on Facebook ads. Not that you can't run ads on Facebook, but if you're an early adopter 10 years ago with Facebook ads, there's a good chance you're able to propel your business into heights that it makes it very difficult today trying to do so. So I'm bound and determined I'm not going to miss out on this one, although it freaks me the F out.
Right. No, 100%. I'm in the same boat. What do those conversations look like with the LOs that you work with? How are they? One, I guess, how are they using AI now? And then what's their general attitude to where it's going, where they see it taking them?
I would say most aren't, right? Most are using AI as like a accelerated version of Google. And it's like, no, it's more than just a place to go ask your normal Google query. And like, I love to look at how UWM is using it with Mia. I mean, I was out to dinner with Alan Baydoun a couple of nights ago, and Alan was explaining to me how the previous Friday, Mia had made something crazy like 20,000 outbound calls on behalf of their broker clients in a matter of 15 minutes. Scheduled something crazy like 500 appointments with homeowners who could potentially benefit from a refinance. So to me, if I'm talking to a loan originator, or even a broker owner, or even a C-suite executive at a top 10 IMB, I think the answer is the same thing. You're either all in or you're all out. You're either all in on AI, you're all out of the industry. And I don't think that's mortgage. I think that's business in general. And for a loan originator, I'm going to tell you, you now have no excuses to not do your job. Whereas a loan originator is like, oh, well, I wasn't sending my weekly newsletter. Well, now you don't have excuses, because I can show you how to write a newsletter that's good and formatted appropriately in about 15 minutes. Or I wasn't calling my past clients. Okay, well, you no longer have an excuse. There's technology where you can upload your database and that technology will actually call your database for you. And then someone may argue, yeah, but Dio or Zeb, it's not the same as if when I called. You're not calling. So you're right, it's not the same, it's better. Because a AI agent calling on your behalf is better than you not calling at all. And this is just sales and marketing. Obviously, I think it's going to absolutely revolutionize the landscape of mortgage operations. When you look at processing, QA, QC, underwriting, funding, et cetera, so many of those aspects are going to be able to be done consistently, quicker, more accurately, and with minimal human interaction, but definitely 100% human oversight. So yeah, I think we are living through our industrial revolution.
Right. I'd mentioned this to you in one of our last phone calls, that it was a couple months ago. Both Diego and I, we went to a conference or a summit with some of the top LOs in the industry, and the topic of not just AI, but just the rapid progress and expansion of the technological capabilities of the platforms and software in our industry now. Those are conversations that now, since I'm here at HousingWire, I'm privy to, and Diego as well, because he's talking to executives, all day long, every day. And I remember Diego leaning over because at the conference with these top LOs, it's not like they were shunning AI or the progress of tech just in general, but they were not reliant upon it, and they were not necessarily as hyped around it as the executives that we talked to. And that didn't surprise me, because, and I'm sure that doesn't surprise you, because we've been LOs, right? We know that world. But I was sitting next to Diego, and he's not an originator, right? And he doesn't know originators to the extent that you and I do. And he leaned over and he's like, "Man, I'm really, this is blowing my mind, because all of the executives in the mortgage space, in the mortgage tech space, they're all in on AI. They're all in on technology, as they should be, because that is the future." And he was really kind of blown away by the disconnect between the vision and the conversations that executives are having, and the originators, the salesmen, the people out, the boots on the ground in the industry, and how oftentimes they're looking in different directions or kind of looking past one another.
Yeah. So you coming from the streets, right? Coming out of the trenches as an LO, and I wear those scars proudly. And I think at my core, I'm still very much a loan originator. But when I look at my friends in origination, so many of us are like, look, show me, don't tell me. Right? Show me, don't tell me. It sounds great, but until you can show me someone implementing this, I'm probably going to be a little bit weary of what it can do. I think we're relying on our corporate entities to do their part to make sure that we can manufacture a loan quickly, smoothly, efficiently, at lower cost, in hopes that that lower cost can push to the rate sheet, in hopes that that lower rate sheet can help us capture and close more business. So I do believe, like, as an originator, we're trusting in our corporate entity to do their part. But because most of us as originators, and I coach this over at TLOP's Originator Coaching, I'm like, look, I don't care if you work for the number one retail lender, or you work for a small mom and pop broker, or you're at a credit union, or anywhere in between. At the end of the day, you work for you, comma, LLC, a division of insert your credit union, insert your IMB, insert your national brokerage, wherever it is that you may work or hang your license. So that means, from a sales and marketing standpoint, it's your personal brand, it's your reputation, it's your circle of influence. This is your community that you're serving as the subject matter expert or as the source of information. And you need to be pumping out information consistently, daily. You need to be racing to the consumer. And I do think that's a massive change just in consumer behavior as well as due to technological advances that originators need to be aware of is before we could sit back and wholeheartedly rely on people reaching out to us, whether they were builders, realtors, or financial advisors proactively reaching out to us, or whether it's our friends, our family, our coworkers, or our neighbors. And I guess it would be your ex-coworker or your neighbor reaching out to you. They did so pretty proactively. I think we have to go and meet them, because if we don't, someone else will. And I think that's the rallying cry. If you won't, someone else will. So much of what it's going to be, it's almost like job preservation, not even job advancement. And that should be what fuels many people's fire to say this. Every single day, I'm going to choose my AI platform of my choosing, my picking, whether it's Gemini, whether it's Claude, whether it's Chat. And I'm going to start there and I'm going to play for 15 minutes. I'm then going to attend things like HousingWire's AI Summit, or I'm going to follow Luke Shankulo over at Loans on Demand, who Luke's doing some really cool things, giving away free info to originators. And I know I'm not going to become a master overnight, but if I just spent 15 minutes a day, every single day, working with some kind of an AI tool or an AI app, imagine how far I could get over a 12-month period of time. It's very much what James Clear teaches in his book, Atomic Habits. It's all about getting 1% better per day. But if you're not getting out and you're not implementing the 15 minutes daily, then I think we will be left behind.
Right. Well, so what I wanted to talk to you about today, that disconnect perhaps from the executives and the LO. I wanted to get more of your perspective on that. What do you think is the biggest perspective between the C-suite's perception of loan officers' needs and the reality on the ground?
Oh, so I think where the C-suite misses is they expect the loan officers to have all the answers. And look, I'm speaking as a loan officer, so I'll speak for me. I don't want to offend anyone else out there, but for the most part, we are teenagers. So anyone who's ever parented teenagers, you know that teenagers say one thing, but that's not necessarily what they mean. They say one thing, but that's not necessarily how they feel if you were to just peel back the layers of the onion and ask the question behind the question. So the C-suite likes to hear what loan officers say and go and react. Where if they paused and they took a step back and they analyzed the situation, or better yet, they got back into the trenches with us, what they would understand is that we're still a little bit lost. We're still a little bit scared. We don't have it figured out. When we bark up the chain of command, sometimes it's what we are feeling, but it's not really what we need. So I would tell anyone in the C-suite to slow down and recognize your LOs don't have all the answers. And really what we want to be led. We want to feel included, and we want to know that we're a part of something bigger. We don't say it often because we're independent, we're entrepreneurial, but we do. We like that feeling of inclusion, that feeling of belonging. And then lastly, LOs are inherently lazy. And that's probably not true, right? That's probably a little bit of a clickbait. But what I'm getting at is LOs want things done for them. Just like a teenager wants things done for them. My daughter is not lazy, but she sure as heck loves it when her mother does her laundry. My daughter is not lazy, but she sure as heck loves it when I empty the dishwasher and don't make her do it. And loan officers love when things are done for them. So if we're talking AI and we're talking about leading a group of originators, the men and women who go out, build the relationships to drive in the revenue, I think we have to start thinking about, am I doing and saying the things that empower them? Do they understand that they're a part of something bigger than just what's going on in their world? And am I doing things for them? And at the same time, am I slowing down enough as an executive to figure out the question behind the question, realizing that a lot of times what the loan officer is saying is not necessarily what they want or what they need.
That reminds me, I worked as a previous lender I worked for on the corporate side doing content creation, and the LOs were unhappy with like flyers, and so I don't know how much money they spent building out a platform for LOs. We worked it out with our compliance department and the marketing department for them to be able to customize their flyers with the copy that they wanted and all this. Just a half a year's worth of work went in, and the executive were, so excited to roll this out, this custom marketing platform, but the LO still had to do the thing. They had to figure out the copy. Because they always had a problem with the copy that was already written for them. They didn't like that. They always had suggestions. They said that they wanted to be able to make their own. And then it was like, and I knew it was coming because, like I said, I was an originator before I moved to the corporate side. And about 5 minutes into the training, starting to lay back in their seats, their eyes starting to like close a little bit, or them just going off camera, like, oh yeah, that you've lost them, because they didn't want to be able to make their own marketing materials at all.
No, let me ask you a question. Do you know why consumers ask about interest rates?
Tell me.
Because they don't know what else to ask.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
They don't know that mortgages aren't one size fits all. They don't know that we as originators have to tailor make the best financial instrument for them to qualify for home financing plus match their financial needs, wants, and goals. Loan officers ask for flyers because they don't know what else to ask for.
Right. Yeah.
So if we are not working with them, whether it's through coaching, through sales training, or better yet, through tools that we're providing, they will continue to turn your marketing department into a flyer factory. Mm-hmm. But what happens if you start doing things on behalf of your originators that you know is a best practice, whether it's purchasing that CRM, then automating it, APIing it, writing the copy, at which point when the originator works for your institution, this is just the way that you do things. And for the most part, it's done for them. Like where I operate from a opt out, not opt in. I don't want my originators having to opt in. I want them to have to opt out, because I feel like my team and I know what's best. And as long as we can build it, automate it, and I think AI is going to allow for this at just absolutely crazy amounts of warp speeds as well as discounted cost, then I think that is the originator of the future, is one in which originators get to plug into a system that's already built out for them. And honestly, I think that's what they're looking for. And once you build that, they'll stop asking you for that next flyer, because you would have shown them how they can look. What are the things originators should be doing? They should be doing a weekly webinar. Why? Because that's one to many. What type of webinar? More than likely one for realtors, where it's more like a lunch and learn type event, and one for the consumer as a way for them to race to get to the consumer first. They should be sending out weekly newsletter to their referral sources. They should be sending quarterly video market updates to their entire database. They should be celebrating the birthdays of the men and women who mean the most for them, which is typically borrowers and referral sources. And they should be doing annual mortgage reviews, because they recognize that they are this person's lender for life. And every year they should be sitting down with them, getting caught up on life as well as the market, as well as their current mortgage, and seeing if their current mortgage is the best mortgage for them. But loan officers in general aren't going to do much of that on their own. Now, the top of the top do it. And that's why we celebrate them, right? Those 40, 60, 100, $200 million producers, they figured that out. But for everyone else, I think AI is going to allow us to do for them, which then, by the way, you'll never have to recruit again, because what you would have built is a fly trap, or a honey trap, I prefer to call it. And now you're attracting talent versus having to recruit talent.
So, yeah, that was going to be the question I was going to ask you earlier, which is how can executives dig past surface level requests to uncover the real drivers of LO satisfaction and performance? And would you say that opt-out model as opposed to opt-in model is probably the best piece of advice? It's
my secret sauce. I'm giving it all away right now for free. I mean, yes, build something based on the best practices of top producers, based on what some of the top business coaches in the space are coaching, and then do it for them. Automate it, API it, utilize AI, whatever you need to do to spoon feed it. I know it sounds counterproductive. I know we're talking about the men and women who make the most net revenue on a transaction, right? Is going to the originator, like net revenue, not gross revenue, but net revenue does go to the originator. But it's a lot easier for me to swim downstream than it is upstream. So for me, I like to swim downstream. I know what I know. I know what I have. Therefore, I'll build around that instead of trying to, make the water flow the opposite direction.
Right. As part of that, well, you not fly trap. You call it a honey trap, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Honey, bees, a little bit better than flies. Flies are kind of gross.
Sure.
Honey's sweet. So yeah, I call it a honey trap.
Agreed. Okay. So, what does I think a career path is key to that honey trap as well, right? So in an industry where like titles can be more about, in our industry, a lot of those titles can be, marketing more than merit on the originator side. What would a career path for an LO look like? And because I think that would be huge for impact retention. Huge for retention. How do you think that that does affect or could affect retention for lenders?
Yeah, this is a loaded question. I love this question. So we're going to unpack it a little bit. The first issue is I don't think we're going to be able to put the cat back in the bag, so to speak, which is our industry hands out titles literally the way the rich kids neighborhood hands out like the full-size candy bars on Halloween. Like everyone gets a title. I mean, I can be brand new, newly licensed and go work for a certain national IMB and they're going to make me VP of lending, senior mortgage advisor, CEO. I'm like, what are you the CEO of? Well, of my company. I'm like, oh yeah, how many employees do you have? One. Who is it? Me. I'm like, okay. So when you're looking at our industry and a career path and career growth, I don't know if you're talking origination, if everybody wants anything but to be supported, left alone, and paid handsomely. It's one of those things that, and I'll speak from personal experience, the higher you get up the food chain, the more control others have of your career and the less money you can make, or the harder it is to control the money you make. So for some originators that are purely money motivated, there really isn't much of a stepping stone besides, like in my perfect world, like the world of DO, that we have unicorns and free candy handed out to all. Yes, you would start in this industry as a loan originator. Then after a certain production level, we'd make you a senior loan originator. And then after a certain production level, we'd make you an AVP. And then after a certain production level, we'll make you a VP of lending, because there is a way to gamify things and make people feel proud of their accomplishments. And then internally, there's also a way to recognize who's doing really well and who's just getting started. However, in order to do so, you'd have to get the entire industry on board. And that's just not going to happen, because you can use titles to sway people into your organization, because there are certain people that the way that they are genetically predispositioned, they like to chase titles, even if that title comes with no extra money, or even if that title comes with making less money. But then you have the rare few that they do want more. Like loan origination was great. It may be how they made their first $1 million or $2 million, but it's less fulfilling. Then yes, I think there's a career path where you can start as an originator, then become a top producer, build out your production team, take on a branch, and maybe after a branch, you can open up a couple satellite branches, or you can become a divisional, and maybe even one day go and open up your own company and be a CEO with hundreds of employees, or even stay with an organization long enough that you become their director of sales or even their CEO. But I don't know how feasible that is on a scaling side, because of the entrepreneurial relationship originators have with their employers and how unique each originator is in terms of what they want. There are plenty that want to make their 300, 400, 500 grand a year and have minimal responsibilities besides what they can control, which is their leads, their fundings, and then whatever small team they built around themselves to support their production. Probably doesn't answer your question the way that you're hoping I would go, but it's a very loaded question with probably lots to unpack.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated, it's a tricky problem and a complicated answer.
It's complicated. It's complicated. It just is. Now, don't get me wrong. Just like LO Comp, I wish we could find a way to find some commonality, some uniformity around titling. And I wish we could have a more clear career path. But I think that's just going to differ based on, look, this industry, which I love dearly. I mean, there's a great career to be had in consumer direct. There's a great career to be had as a broker. There's a great career to be had at working for a credit union, great career to be had working for an IMB or even a bank. And I think all 5 of those that I just mentioned are also inside of them going to have their own culture and their own career path within. And then there's nothing wrong with traversing from consumer direct to IMB and IMB to running your own brokerage. And I think when you study someone's 20 or 25-year career, you could definitely see that, which I think is just going to make it that much more, what was the word we said? Complicated.
Right. You'd mentioned this earlier, and there's so many different types of originators out there, personality types. You'd mentioned earlier people that are driven or pulled to a path with titles, right? And you'd mentioned pay and compensation. It's always been an issue. I think you've seen it really rear its head over the past couple of years, where so many LOs are willing to jump ship based on a better comp somewhere else at the next company. And I don't know how many LOs I've known that the only reason that they didn't jump basically from one year after year is just a sheer pain. It's just a sheer pain in the butt to transfer your pipeline over, and just the business related hassle. But there's just not a lot of loyalty, not a lot of stickiness, and that seems like the driving factor is being lured away by better comp. And to a certain extent, that obviously that makes sense. But what can leadership do to create the kind of loyalty and stickiness that makes comp less of? It's not like it's never going to be a deciding factor, right? But less of a deciding factor.
I love the question, and I think we probably answered some of it a couple minutes ago when we were talking about the future of mortgage lending. But we'll circle back to it now, which is understanding originators, although they don't state it. I'm going to go back to my teenager analogy. I know my daughter loves me, but at 17, do you think she goes out of her way to give me a hug and say, "Dad, I love you"? No, she's a teenager. I know that time will come when she probably gets in her 20s and recognizes, holy cow, Mom and Dad rolled out the red carpet for me. They laid in bed worrying about me every single night. Let me make sure I show them my gratitude and my affection towards that. If loan originators are going to be compared to teenagers, and I say that lovingly, right? Because in my core, I'm still an LO. I think the C-suite, the company operators, the divisionals, et cetera, need to recognize that although they don't state it, they want to feel included. So are you sharing the vision of the company with the troops on the ground? Are you open and honest and transparent about the company's goals and objectives? And more importantly, how do they fit in? What can they do to make sure you achieve them? And then how do they get rewarded when the company does achieve said goals? And then what are you doing every day that makes them love where they work? It's either going to be in support or how you treat them. Are you recognizing their birthdays? Are you recognizing their work anniversaries? Are you just recognizing top originators, or are you recognizing people when they do a great job, or when people go above and beyond whatever it was that they were producing before? And it's rarely about money. I think money is how you get an unhappy person to make a move. But rarely is it about the money. Now, there's small sects. Like right now, I'm finding originators that are like $18 to $24 million originators that have a high ceiling and a lot of gas in the tank. And if those originators aren't currently being offered a P&L, and they're capable and competent, then, yes, that could be about money. But rarely is it truly always about money. It's, look, if you can't get their loans closed, you have issues, right? I mean, that's almost like a loan officer who can't close on time, a loan officer who doesn't return phone calls to realtors. Well, then look, you have bigger issues than your rates and your products if you can't return phone calls and you can't close loans on time. Same thing applies to a mortgage company. If you can't have a smooth, consistent, predictable process of taking loans from application to funding, then you can throw everything else out the window. But assuming you do, and most do, right? Most of us, we are underwriting files in 24 to 48. We're doing conditions in 24 to 48. We can close loans quickly, et cetera, et cetera. Then it has to be, well, what else? Like, how do you make this person feel about coming to work? How included are they in the big picture? What are you doing to support them? And by support, it starts with, what are you doing to help them generate more leads? What are you doing to help them convert those leads into more closings? Because more closings is more income for them, but it's also more income for you, the company operator. Those are some of the things that I think we need to do when we're in the leadership role to make sure that we have a stickier component to LO retention. Now, I'll tell LOs, and I don't think not enough people tell them this. I'll speak from experience. The grass is greenest where you water it 4 out of 7 times. 4 out of 7. Like, I've had this luxury over the past 5 years, kind of like a calling, where I started podcasting. Loan originators fell in love with it. And a lot of them are the loan originators who represent the future of mortgage lending, right? So these are the men and women that have been licensed 3 or 4 years. They have gas in the tank. They have a high ceiling. And something that I offer to my audience is like, look, if you want free career advice, reach out. Reach out. I did this just yesterday. Then I ended up referring a guy to a branch manager I know in San Antonio. And they reach out, and I will tell you, 4 out of 7 times, my solution is go have a tough conversation with your direct report or with one of your leaders. Or my solution is suck it up, buttercup. You're now a big boy or a big girl. This is how the world operates. And it's not your company, it's you. Look at that man or that woman in the mirror and ask them what they need to do to get 1% better. But there is 3 times out of 7 where I end up making a recommendation that they go and interview elsewhere. And that elsewhere, more times than not, all comes down to leadership and support. You deserve a leader who supports you better.
So we covered a lot of ground, and you gave a lot of really good advice out there for any leader looking to retain or improve that stickiness. I'm kind of walking away with this, there's really 2 main objectives or 2 pieces of advice. One, right, is that remembering that what did you say? If I'm as an originator, I'm Zeb Lowe LLC. You're Dustin Owen LLC.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
And offering offering an opt-out structure or an opt-out method that empowers and pushes Zeb Lowe LLC forward and give me a voice. Right. Make me know that my voice is heard. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You know what? Yes. And I don't know if I said that emphatically enough. I mean, something you should be doing at the executive level is allowing an opportunity for the ground troops to push their ideas up and to know that they're heard. Like, you can hear someone without having to execute their ideas. You can acknowledge the idea and allow the person to feel that they were included, even if the idea is something that you can't execute. So yes, there's a sense of belonging that we as humans all crave. And we're typically proud of the work we do. We're proud of the approach we take, but is the company actually taking the time to give their associates that platform to be heard? And then more importantly, are the executives slowing down to make the people in the trenches, the troops, to feel like they know what's going on, they know where they fit in, and then we all collectively know how we're going to celebrate when we achieve our goals. And more specifically for the LOs, when we achieve those goals, how is it going to benefit the originator, right? It's like, talk to me less about your features, talk to me more about the benefits. yeah, how does this benefit me?
Right. Excellent. All right. Well, we're out of time, Dustin. I thank you so much for sharing your time with us and the insights that you provided. And I really appreciate you. So thank you for joining
Zeb,
us
it
today.
is my pleasure. Tell Diego we missed him, but you did a great job of filling in. And y'all, if you don't already subscribe to Housing Wire, make sure you do so because it is where I get my news from every single day.
Dustin, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Zeb.